So I get a ton of questions about my mobile setup, and what kind of stand or sticks or pack or whatever I use. And in the last like month and a half, I've probably had 50 guys ask me if I could make a video on my entire mobile setup. So I'm going to do that today. And so I'm going to take everything off my stand in a second here, but this is what my stand and sticks and everything looks like, all strapped up for any hunt in the fall, October, early November. The only thing that would change is maybe I'd have like a big jacket in the late season strapped to the outside of my pack, or maybe I'd have rattling horns or something like that on there. But so I have the Lone Wolf Custom Gear, their original stand, the 1.0. I bought that stand in 2019, so I've hunted 7 seasons with this stand, and it served me well. There's so many different options and things that are, might be better or whatever, but this is what works for me, and this is just to get an idea of, maybe get some ideas in your head on how you want to set up your stand and sticks or whatever. Maybe if you get one thing out of this, it will help. If you want to have 2 setups, where you have like maybe a saddle type setup, and then you have a platform setup, that's on you. But so a lot of this stuff too has like stuck with me. I went to sniper school in the Marine Corps, and how I set up my gear on my individual person and within my sniper team, like in my pack and everything about it, like a lot of that stuff just, I think, stuck with me throughout the years. And like, I want my stand and sticks and everything, you should be able to pick it up and shake it and it not make any noise at all. So I'm gonna take this stuff off. I'll move this camera a little bit, and then I'll kind of show you my breakdown on how I have everything set up here. All right, so just keep in mind, like, this setup here is just a tool. Like, if you're as crazy as I am about chasing around big bucks on public land or even your private land, I think a lot of people, especially on private land, they think that it's overwhelming, and they think it's not really to be hanging and hunting and stuff. A lot of guys have 8 tree stands on their piece of private land, and like, oh yeah, I saw this big buck come out of this area, I don't have a stand in there. It's like, well, you should have some sort of a setup where you can get in there and get that buck killed. And I think a lot of people get overwhelmed with, oh, I'm gonna screw everything up if I go in there and hang a stand. It's like, my setup, I can hang and hunt, and it's almost like, it's just as easy as me to hang a stand and take it down as it is to get dressed in the morning. When you do it so many times and you become like very intimate with your gear, and you treat your gear well, and you know everything about it, and you have your pack set up the exact same way every single time, everything has a spot, you should be able to do everything in the dark if you needed to. So I would suggest getting a setup that you're gonna, you think you're gonna like, and then just fine-tuning it over the years. And instead of buying the next new thing every single year, just stick with something and really get to know it. That's my suggestion. So I'll try to cover everything, because I know I'm gonna get a question on every piece of gear. So I wear my little fanny pack when I go to hunt. I'm not a production filmer, but I will take a camera and a camera arm. So I have my camera in here. In this front pouch, this is something that I will go back to the truck for. I will never not have milkweed. I have one of these little coin pouches. I don't know if you ever remember these. People used to have these at like the swimming pools when they were little kids, with a couple little quarters or whatever in there. So it took me a while to find some of these things, but I have my milkweed in there. And then I'll usually have like face paint in here, and sometimes like a Ziploc bag or something, just in case I need to keep something dry. So on the bottom of my seat, I have this old map pouch from when I was in the Marine Corps. And I believe like I cut this apart to fit this stand, and it's been on my tree stand ever since. And there's a few things that I keep in here. One thing that I go everywhere with is my pruning shears. So a lot of times I'll set my stand down at the base of the tree, and there's like a few little twigs or something in the way, or sometimes I'll even put this in my back pocket when I'm walking in, if I'm like walking through thick pasture ground or something with a bunch of briars and I need to snip my way through to try to be totally quiet. So my pruning shears go everywhere with me, and then right when I set this down, I put it in my back pocket, and when I'm climbing the tree, if there's anything in the way, it's so quiet that you can just snip off a little branch or whatever. I'll usually actually sharpen this thing probably once or twice a season. I've had this same shears for probably 7 or 8 years now. And then I have my tow rope in here. I have this set up a certain way, and while I lined it up the same way every single time so I can get up in the tree and just drop it. It has one for my bow and then one for my pack. And then I will have usually 2 screw-in steps for hanging stuff up in the tree. And then I will take this stuff off here. I like my climbing sticks to be set up on my stand where they're barely sticking above the platform. So when I'm ducking, if I'm ducking something, it's not getting hung up on anything. So typically I find myself being somewhere around 3 sticks high. Sometimes I'm a stick high, sometimes I'm 2 sticks high. And the last few years I found myself hunting higher and higher. It all just depends on, for me, where the cover is in the tree and what I want my wind and my thermals to do. If I need to get super high for it to work out, then I'll get super high. If I need to be a stick high, then I'll be a stick high. So I bring 3 full-size sticks. These are like I'll take these off. Let me show you. So I run these Titan straps. I've tried anything you can think of to secure these sticks to this stand, and there is nothing that works better that I found than these Titan straps. I've had the same ones for probably 4 years now. They're super strong, durable. They make you can really crank them down, and they're super easy to take off. So I take them all off, and then I will just stash these at the bottom of the tree. Takes no time at all. They're super easy to use. And then I usually will have a dedicated stick for my bottom climbing stick. So I have 2 sticks that have aiders on it that I built, and I made these aiders the exact size so they could fold right over top of this Versa button. I don't run any straps with buckles. I just run these Amsteel blue ropes. And if you make these ropes, there's not a lot of colors, so they have like a dark gray color and then like a black color, and they fade really bad. So every year or every other year I will take these ropes and I'll actually dye them in trap dye. So they've already faded quite a bit this year from a lot of use, but I think it is extremely important that your bottom stick or your bottom 2 sticks do not stand out on the tree. It's cost me a few really big bucks from getting picked off by my bottom stick on the tree. So I want this rope to really blend into the tree. So I will hang my bottom stick, and usually I will, with this rope, I will go around a few times and really make sure that that is not going to blow around in the wind or whatever. And then I also have one more stick that has a aider on it as well. A lot of times I find myself not even using this aider on my second stick, and then I will hang so I have this first stick on the tree. I haven't even stood up. I'm kind of just getting all my stuff ready. I'll fold out my steps and I will put the next stick on the right side of the tree, leaning just like that, and the stick after that on the left side of the tree, and this stick is usually up higher, and I will wrap this rope where the stick is just barely touching the ground. And then I can put my stand on my back and get dressed, and I can climb this tree with my stand on my back if there's not a lot of things that I have to snip off, and then I can grab this stick, climb up, put that stick on, and then I can grab this rope and just grab that stick, and I'm up in the tree ready to hunt. A lot of times, so if I'm not going to use this mini stick that I have, then that will just get stashed at the bottom of the tree, and I will make sure it's hidden, because I've had, you don't want a deer standing directly underneath your tree and he sees that. So this is my Latitude. I just got this pack this year and I absolutely love it. I think it's the 33 bag, and I'll just break down what's in there. So I have my Lone Wolf custom gear, camera arm that's strapped to the bottom here. In my pack, everything is in order. So in this pouch, this top pouch, I always have my rangefinder in there. In this pouch, I always have my headlamp. And then sometimes I'm wearing my binos to the tree, sometimes I'm not. It kind of depends. In the morning, in the dark, obviously I don't have my binos on me. So I typically am getting dressed at the bottom of the tree, or I'm taking off whatever shirt I was wearing and I'm putting a nice clean shirt on that's not all sweaty. So my base layer is the first thing that comes out, so I can put that on. And then I usually will wear this really nice wool flannel, and that's what I'll hunt with. Underneath that are my binos. I don't run like a bino pouch or whatever. I don't really like that. It just makes me too sweaty. I have everything silent proofed on my binos because I've learned, all these mistakes that I've made throughout the years are learning opportunities. They cost me a giant buck because my binos touched my bow and it made a noise in the late season, and it cost me a giant buck. So everything is silent proof. I have water, a little bit of water. I usually fill this up like a quarter of the way. And then I have my grunt call. And that is everything that's in my pack. That's all I will have. And my bow hanger. I used to run a smaller bow hanger that could fit right in here, and I might get one of those again. A lot of times I find myself, I'm in no rush to get into the tree, so I'll leave my pack and everything down here. I'll get my stand hung, and I'll drop my rope down, and my bow and everything is down here, and then I will put my backpack on my back and have my bow hooked up, and then once I get on my stand, I will hang my bow hanger, and then I'll pull my bow up. So that's kind of like the order of operations, how I do things. I believe that's pretty much it. I'll show my stand up close. Another thing, this is such a versatile tree stand. I'm not saying there's not, but they have a lot of different options now that I know I would like. The only thing that I've ever done to replace anything is put a new seat on here. When I used to have a Fourth Arrow camera arm and stuff, what I did was I didn't want to keep hanging that bracket on the tree, and it was a hassle. So I always found myself the height that I wanted was usually around like seat level. So I just cut apart one of the camera bases and made a bracket for it right on the seat right here. And I welded some stuff together and it was super cool. And then I had my little like swivel mount or whatever right on that, so it stayed on my seat at all times, so I could just get in the tree and boom, pop my camera arm into my little base, and I was ready to go. I have this isn't 550 cord, this is some real like thin stuff, but I have that on the back of my stand, and every year it seems like I end up using, you know, if you break a boot lace, that really sucks, or you forget a strap for a trail camera, or there's so many things that you could use rope for, so it's always good to just have some of this on your stand. This, like, you just have to kind of make it your own setup too, like whatever you can, you know, think outside the box and do whatever you want. If you want to cut the stand apart and make it your own and do whatever you want to do with it, go ahead and do it. I just don't want this to make any noise whatsoever, and every year I'll kind of just tune it up a little bit. Like, this stuff will stay on here, like this rope and this 550 cord has been on here for 7 years, and she's pretty worn down, but I just kind of tune it up every year in the summertime and she's ready to roll. And my stand and my sticks don't make a peep. And I'm gonna keep running the way that I am until, you know, something happens where it costs me a deer or something breaks and I need a new setup. But you know, I'm sure a saddle would be great in some scenarios, but I don't feel the need to use that. I'm sure there's lighter stuff and maybe better stuff out there, but this is just what I use, and it's worked for me. I believe in the last 7 years I've killed 12 or 13 bucks out of this stand off public land, 2 Boone and Crockett's. I don't know how many bucks over 150, a lot. So it works. Just kind of make it your own. You know, you don't always have to just do what someone else is doing. Just kind of, you know, just adjust things as you go and just learn. That's what this is all about, man.